All right, with it being after 7 o'clock, I'll call the June 14th meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll have the accepting for minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move the following minutes for approval. March 22nd, April 12th, April 26th, and May 24th, all reviewed and ready for approval, sir.
All those in favor say aye.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. My first day. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. All right, small project, NACC 308-12 Mill Pond.
So I'll give a quick update or rundown, and then you can fill in the gaps and field any questions. Alrighty, so this is a small project coming under category L, which is other. Previous determination of applicability in March of 2018 governed drainage improvements, grading, and wall reconstruction for this unit. During that project, the Comcast utility box was relocated to a temporary position, and the proposed work under this small project would be to move this box back to alongside the Unit 12. The work proposed consists of approximately 20 feet of a 6-inch wide electrical trench, and it is within the outer 200-foot. It's partially within the 200-foot riverfront area, half in the inner, half in the outer, and the same for the buffer, half in the inside the buffer and half out of the buffer. The trenching will hug a gravel patio. When work is complete, all grades, landscaping, or patios will return to their existing conditions, and they are proposing straw wattle erosion controls to envelop the work. I recommend that you find this to qualify as a category L, and then approve the project with conditions that require a pre-construction meeting with the Conservation Department to inspect installed erosion controls, all excess soils to be removed from site or utilized outside the 100-foot buffer zone, and then a post-construction site inspection to verify compliance and approve removal of the erosion control upon stabilization. We have a project representative here this evening.
Okay, let's see if you have any questions. Jack?
Sure. Amy, did you inspect the site?
I've been out there. Yeah.
I just wanted to hear about that flared-in little discharge. Looks like it's a drainage discharge.
Okay.
That seems to be between the 50 and the 100.
Okay. I think that was part of a previous project.
Is it there?
It's actually, yeah, it is between the 50 and the 100, so it's not in the 50. Yes, it is.
Okay. So that sheet flows across, what, a grassed land or a stable?
Yeah. It's got a riprap velocity reducer, and I haven't seen negative impacts.
Yeah, okay.
From
But there's
it.
no wetland associated with that?
Other than Chickawick Brook and the bank,
Got it.
the 25, the 50, the 100, and then 200-foot riverfront area,
Okay.
which is, I think, shown out way
Yeah,
out
and
here.
this-
That's the 200-foot way out there.
Yep. And this work is just inside the 100-foot?
Just inside the 100-foot and partially outside. That's the 100-foot right
Yep, I
there.
have no other questions.
Al?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Motion?
I would start by moving that we consider this to be a small project in the other category. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
And accordingly, I would move that we approve the project as proposed with the special conditions as listed in the recommendations on page 1.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you, all set.
Yes, you're all set. Thank you.
Next one is a modification, 242-634, requested continue till 6/28. Is there any reason, what is the reason for continuing, Amy?
The parties are working on a settlement.
Okay.
And there's no quorum either, I can't vote.
Oh, then there,
that's
there you
right,
go,
Sean,
so
that's right,
forget
Sean,
that,
okay.
so that's another reason, that's right. Look out,
So
Sean.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Request RDA 1174 Turnpike Street.
All right, I'm gonna pull up, let me pull up the, the plan that's clear. Give me a sec. All right, here we go. Alrighty. So this proposal is for connecting the house to the gas main, which is in Turnpike Street, Route 114. Based on staff on-site measurements, the work involving in the trench is approximately 65 feet from the bordering vegetated wetland that's located on the site, and about 20 feet from the BBW that's located on the other side, opposite side of Turnpike Street, at the base of the shoulder. And it is within the outer riparian zone of Boston Brook. About 180 linear feet of line will be installed via open trench method. Proposed erosion controls around ground disturbance, and we can specify mulch sock. No soil will be stockpiled overnight within buffer zones during the project. No work will be performed during the rain events as reported by Eversource. And if trench dewatering is necessary, water will be pumped to a dewatering pit. No equipment to be stored or refueled within 100 feet of a resource area. So the homeowners here this evening, I don't know if we have an Eversource representative? No, okay. So they give, Eversource provides sort of the typical narrative for this type of work. And
So it's a house service.
it's a house service, yes.
Jack, any questions?
Is Eversource doing the work?
Yep.
Okay. Everything else looks good to me. I have no other questions.
Oh,
I'm all set, no questions.
Tony,
No questions.
motion?
This is an IDA. I move that we close the public hearing and issue a -3 determination with the conditions as listed under recommendations on page 1.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
All set.
All righty, so you're all set. I'll prepare the permit and I'll send it to you and Eversource, my contact at Eversource. And then we'll have a pre-construction meeting to install erosion controls, and then go from there. Okay? All right, thank you.
Amy, just on this project, on the pre-construction,
Yep,
just show them where you want the dewatering pit.
yes. Yeah, if there's any, yep. Okay, thank you.
Next one is 10 Johnson Street.
All right, so this comes for a demolition of the front porch It's open below and closed on the second story, and reconstructing in the same footprint. Existing granite block, and it's sort of a combination foundation with some poured concrete and granite blocks. I was told that it's in good shape and that won't be touched, so it's just the woodwork. And the resource consists of an intermittent stream that runs east between Great Pond Road and Stevens Street. And based on my on-site measurements, the porch is approximately 46 feet from the bank of the stream. The house was constructed in 1920. We've had no previous files for this property. And then other activities include exterior trim, new siding, and installation and repair of existing porch brackets. Addition of a 5-inch gutter and a 3-inch downspout to discharge on the stream side of the property, the right side of the property. Project representatives here this evening if you have questions. And I would recommend closing the hearing and issuing a -3 with conditions that require some form of erosion control and perhaps a riprap splash pad for the gutter discharge location, and then post-construction to verify compliance and approve removal of erosion controls.
Okay, thank you. Jack?
Yeah, looks like kind of an easy one, except for the 46-foot setback,
Right.
which is within our no-build zone. Typically, an RDA wouldn't, it'd be a hard lift for an RDA to do that. But with no ground disturbance, I think the big risk would be materials, demolition materials stored on site. I think, one of the pre-construction conditions should be that demolished materials be stored immediately in a dumpster, not stockpiled on site, and that Amy specifies where that dumpster is in the pre-construction meeting. Do you have an idea where you're going to put it?
He has a cart that like a trailer cart. I believe he fills as he works.
Do you have a driveway or something?
Yeah, it'll probably go right in the driveway.
Yeah, okay.
So it'll be taken off daily
He-
in his trailer?
Absolutely sure. They could do that.
I would say the dumpster's gonna stay there till they strip it.
I
what
think
they
you're
want.
right, yeah.
I think you should designate
Okay,
where it should go.
okay.
Because
Yeah.
now they got the brook on one side, I don't know how much land you have on the other side. Not
They'll-
much, right?
They'll, Center Realty will allow me access to the back as well. I've asked them about that already.
Yeah, because they're not gonna leave a truck there, they're gonna just drop off the container.
Yeah, it'll stay there until they need it picked up.
Yeah.
That's what I would think.
Yeah, they're not gonna take that off daily.
Can you identify yourself? I'm sorry.
I'm Michael Donovan. I'm the homeowner.
The homeowner?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
That's all I have, though.
I guess what jumped out at me is the same thing that Jack talked about. I understand the house is more than 100 years old, but the porch is 46 feet from the bank of the stream. Should there not be an alternatives analysis when I request for a waiver? Unless it's in kind, is the porch?
It's in kind, absolutely in kind.
It's in kind?
Absolutely. I got pictures up if you
Okay,
want
all
to.
right, that's what I was looking for.
Oh, yeah, I thought
I
I
missed-
thought I said that, I'm sorry.
My apologies if I missed it. I'm all set.
That's all right, so we got a picture up of it.
Have you gone through the Old Center Historic District yet?
Yes.
Okay, so that was my only concern is if they changed the architecture in any way and it's not an intent.
As is. Actually, it's gonna be squared off a little better than it is, but yeah, it's as is.
All right, no questions on that.
If the project changes, one last comment, if the project changes and it's found that the existing foundation is not suitable, that changes things, and
Right,
you
so-
really should come back before us before proceeding with, soil disturbance and excavation
Yeah,
and all
he had
that.
a structural engineer come out and check that out. I mean, he did stamp the plan. for us.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So we're really basically doing the posts and the upper porch. The bottom deck is not being touched. That was done about 15, 20 years ago.
Oh, you mean the decking?
The decking itself.
The
was
decking
done.
itself is gonna
That's
stay,
all
so
pressure
it's,
treated under there.
so it's the posts
The post, the railings, and then up.
and then up,
Yeah. And the house is actually about 120 years old.
120 years old?
Yes. My grandfather bought it in 1920.
Oh,
I mean, looking at the old deck, I mean, structurally, it looks pretty, you know, good shape.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
back when they built things.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
built them forever.
Yeah,
The
better-
age has caught up with it, though.
All right, so we need a motion.
I think Al, have you commented?
Make a motion.
No, I asked my question, and
Oh, okay.
I didn't see the in-kind. I'm all set with the
Yeah.
in-kind.
okay.
I move we close the hearing, issue a -3 determination with the conditions as listed, 8-inch mulch between the work and the stream bank, splash pad at the new gutter discharge and post-construction inspection, and if anything changes, please notify Amy as soon as possible.
And the container
Yep.
location.
Yes, and the
Yeah.
container location to be specified during the pre-con.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. All set.
Thank you.
Next one is an amendment, 242-1807, 108 Rosemont Drive.
Alrighty. Okay, so the commission will recall issuing an order of conditions in May of 2021 and approved the construction of a 20 by 16 sunroom at the rear of the house addition and the associated roof drip line infiltration trench, exterior stairs, landing at the rear of the house. Sunroom to be supported by concrete footings. Work was within existing lawn and about 85 feet from the edge of the bordering vegetated wetland. Construction is complete, but the addition ended up being smaller than they anticipated and not suitable for the space they wanted. So they are asking for an amendment to construct an additional 12 by 20 extension to the existing addition. And that will be 88 feet from the resource area at the closest point. The narrative and the plan shows that there's a retaining wall. The new extension will go over that, and that wall will not be touched. The new addition is to be supported by 9 helical piles and 6-inch posts, and that would total 9 square feet of ground disturbance. And crushed stone is to go under the new structure and lattice to enclose the bottom. Erosion controls consisting of staked mulch sock is shown on the modified plan, and its extent is modified from originally proposed. Pat Seecamp is here on behalf of the applicant if you have questions.
Jack?
The setback, is it still 85 feet?
Yes, but the new, the wetland kind of falls away, so the new extension will be three more feet away from the wetland.
Okay.
So well out of the 50.
Okay, and then the helical supports, so really no excavation, seems like?
No, it's,
Correct. Yeah. For the record, I'm Patrick Seecamp, Seecamp Environmental.
Never met you before.
Might look familiar. No excavation other than I calculate, the helix posts are actually smaller than a square foot, but I calculated about a square foot for each post to be in the ground. And then on top of that are the 6x6 pressure treated to support the addition. Really, there's only going to be a small sort of closet, if you will, outside for like tools and outside furniture under the addition. So there will be a little crushed stone. It's currently just lawn right now, and it's sort of being used as a tool storage space up against the existing wall that's out there. The wetland line has been refreshed, no changes, and erosion control actually is still in place on the site. So they still have the original erosion control up. We're going to amend it to wrap around the new activity.
And it joins up with the retaining wall?
I'm sorry?
I think it joins up. Does
Yeah.
it join up with?
Yeah, the erosion
Yes.
control will meet up with
Yeah.
it.
Okay, so that'll be open on the bottom of the
Yeah.
added part?
You can see there what's going to happen is it's going to cantilever just over the wall, but before the slider, so they can still access the basement with the slider, and it won't cover those 3 top windows that you see in the photograph.
Great. I have no other questions.
Patrick, were you on the original project
My brother Michael.
on Rosemont?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm all set, thank you.
I have no questions, it's a shame you're doing it twice.
Yeah,
That's the way it goes.
I understand. I guess the couch was bigger than the addition.
Big couch.
That's what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Gutters and downspouts on the new addition, or?
Yes, similar, we're going to use the same design,
Right, that's-
So the design called for a infiltration
box.
trench,
Yeah,
drip
Yeah, I thought it was,
drip edge.
usually with the drip edge though, you have no gutters and downspouts.
Right.
But,
yeah, there are going to be, we're going to actually dump the downspouts down into
into a,
the
it looks like it's all
infiltration
gravel down there anyway. so
trench.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure, because it looks like where it ends in that slider door, I could see them coming back for gutters and downspouts after the fact, that we're not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but other than that, no questions.
Okay, any more questions? Motion?
Is there anyone,
Or any
Because
abutters
it's a
here
public hearing.
for this project? No, not seeing anybody, so. Motion?
I move that we close and issue in 21 days.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
thanks.
Thank
We're all
you.
set. We're all set.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much. Good to see you.
Otherwise,
Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
one here, 189 Willow Street, request to continue till June 28th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's
Oh, no, wait.
unanimous. What's that?
25 Gilman wasn't.
I know, I just jumped over just to.
Oh, okay.
get-
189.
Oh,
Oh, 189.
In case there's
Okay.
somebody sitting here or whatever.
I have to recuse.
Okay, so now it's 242, 1568, 25 Gilman.
all right, let me pull up the latest and greatest. This is it, okay. Alrighty. So at the last hearing, well, the commission recalled this project involves construction of a 18 by 36 in-ground swimming pool, associated patio, fencing, dry well, dewatering tank, and equipment pad, removal of existing concrete apron at the side of the garage and replacing that with a larger patio, and then minor grading. Work is within the 100-foot buffer zone to 3 BVW systems, the A, B, and C series, but outside the 50, so no waivers are required. At the last hearing, a few issues were discussed and needed supplemental information. The post-construction groundwater dewatering system for the pool perimeter and its proximity to the leaching field and horsepower of the pump. The pool has been shifted further away from the leaching field. The pump is now 60 feet from the leaching field, and the pump is noted as a 2 horsepower. And it was discussed whether the pool will be within groundwater, and the consultant researched test pit data from the septic system design. It is noted on that test pit log that estimated seasonal high water table was at 5 and observed water was at 7 feet. And that was from when?
So that Andover Consultants did the test pits, and I It was from the 80s, believe it or not.
Okay.
And I
Alright.
believe it's still the same system, right?
I believe so.
March 21st, 81.
Okay.
It's an amazing septic system.
Yeah. So none of the changes resulted in waivers being requested, and the construction phase dewatering has been proposed partially within the 50, but outside the 25 from the beginning, so. Project representatives are here, the homeowner and the wetland consultant, if you have questions.
You guys have any questions?
I don't.
I have no questions.
Mine is, so the base of the pool is gonna be in the water table
Yes.
by 2 feet?
It's hard to tell for sure, so where the leach field is, it looks like it's at contour 174. Where the pool is proposed, 169 and a half. The leach field has to be 4 feet above the estimated seasonal high, so I'm not sure if the system was put exactly at grade or if it was elevated a little bit because it's mounded, but it's certainly within the water table. And I don't know where the exact deep holes were performed, but I had the test information for you.
Like I said, I'm just concerned with where that water's gonna do. Hopefully it'll all work out. Tony,
No, that's, I appreciate you making the changes.
Of course, thank you.
any more questions?
Just a comment. Yeah, actually a question. What's the nature of the pool, the container itself? Is it fiberglass or?
Gunite, concrete.
What is it, concrete?
Yeah.
Okay. And we have a standard condition that requires a cartridge, non-backwash type filter. So just be aware that that's a standard condition for a pool of this type in North Andover.
Okay.
So, yeah, thanks. No more questions.
In case he wants to know about it.
Oh. Yeah, I guess we would, there is a one-way flow valve for when you're in the groundwater, your main drain will allow if it gets too low, that it starts to put pressure on the bottom of the main drain, it'll allow groundwater to flow into the pool, in theory. So, if that's an option, and you were to decide not to put the pump in and go for that, if it's a cheaper or a better option, when you talk to your contractor, I think it could be handled administratively, but, I'm fine with it, the way it's designed.
Okay, great, yeah, well, I believe he's watching, so
Yeah,
we'll,
no, it's,
we'll check with him, so.
Yeah, because like I said, if you don't take care of that pool, the groundwater coming up, and it's a concrete pool, it's gonna crack. It's gotta go somewhere.
So,
Okay.
Tony, I'm sorry, so just so I understand, the one-way flow valve is actually
It's in the.
in the pool itself?
It's in the
at
drain at the center of the deep end.
In the drain, okay.
And it allows water to come in but not go out, so if for any reason the water level in the pool dropped below the groundwater table,
Okay,
the groundwater will flow into the pool instead of put pressure on the bottom.
okay.
All right. Some more questions? We have a motion?
I don't think there's any abutters
Any
here
abutters
for
here?
that. No, okay.
I move we close the public hearing and issue a order of conditions within 21 days.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Next one is 242-1859, 0 Turnpike Street.
All
it's only a review. That's an old
Good
plan.
evening, Mr. Chair and members. For the record, Chris Sparagus, civil engineer for the Engineering and Survey Office of Williams and Sparagus in Middleton. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
So before we get started and talk about anything, I just wanted to review the sitting members. Amy, I know at our first hearing, the folks that heard us open the public hearing included Mr. Manzi, Mr. Napoli, Mr. McDonough, and Mr. Hale. And tonight, I see that Mr. McDonough and Mr. Hale are not present. So I know Mr. Capichetti, and I'm sorry, Jack, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Maven. I don't know if it's possible for folks to look at the tape and do a Mullen thing.
They did.
I watched the last.
Oh, they did.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
You only had the
absolutely.
one hearing, right?
That's right.
We only
okay,
had one
then I'm
hearing.
good.
Yep. Oh, no, we
Okay.
made sure that they were,
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we keep-
Because
thanks.
sometime in the future, when it comes time to vote on this thing, we want to make sure that we have some people that can vote.
You're well advised to do that.
Yep. All right.
I mean, and moving forward, now that we have 2 hearings under our belt, we're going to keep close eye on that and make
Okay.
sure we have a good complement.
Okay, thank you. So it's been a while since we last saw you. I just wanted to bring you up to speed. We can talk about as much or as little as you'd like tonight. We are in the back and forth stage between our office and TEC. As you know, the commission also issued an enforcement order, and then there was a subsequent second amended enforcement order with regard to some fill material that was being brought in a little bit prematurely. We addressed the concerns of the enforcement order that was issued through a couple of ways. We constructed a temporary siltation basin, a pretty sizable one, along with a series of check dams to protect any runoff coming off of disturbed areas of the site before passing and moving along towards the state forest where the wetland is. And we also filed an EPA notice of intent back in January, and we've been inspecting the property weekly. I also went by there tonight just to make sure that things were looking okay after that recent, we had a pretty heavy rain event the other night. And we'll be sure to check it tomorrow morning because this one's a doozy right now too. So it's holding up well, erosion control, check dams, that sort of thing. We responded to TEC's peer review comments, and there were 3 different ones covering various topics. One covering mostly stormwater-related items and standard engineering practice. The other one covering zoning-related items, and then, of course, there's a traffic one. We sent those our responses to TEC on stormwater and zoning back on May 19th, and TEC is currently reviewing our responses. We met with the planning board here in town last week to give them an update. We quickly ran through some of the revisions that came out of the TEC review. And then our permitting is also ongoing in Middleton, of course, because a portion of the property is in Middleton. We're in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals there. That's the site plan reviewing authority in Middleton. We met with them back on May 25th and have been continued, again, waiting for back and forth between us and TEC. And then we're also in front of the Conservation Commission in Middleton for some minor activity. We're back before the commission in July on the 5th. Not a lot happening on the Concom side in Middleton, but we've asked them to continuing our public hearing so that we can all get on the same page before any public hearings are closed, just in case plans change, that sort of thing. So that's the latest on what's going on for the project, and I'm happy to go through some of the revisions to the plans if the commission would like to hear about them. Or we can wait until we hear back from TEC. I'll leave it up to you.
I think we should wait till we see the comments and the adjusted plan and any changes that the planning board does in the meantime,
Okay.
instead of us keep going back and forth and wasting your time and our time.
Sure, I can appreciate that.
All right, so you have any questions now?
Is TEC third-party review?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, and
Waiting for their
Middleton
comments.
was nice enough to also hire the same company.
Okay,
So
so they're
it's the same company reviewing the information in both towns.
Great. No other questions?
No questions right now.
And you got a determination as to the extent of the Zone A I saw in your submitted material from DEP, so that's taken care of.
That's right. We fleshed that out early on when we were before this board for our ANRAD. That was one of the comments that TEC had. The Mass GIS hasn't caught up to
Yep.
Bruce Bauk's determination.
No, excellent. No, that,
Okay.
What is that? I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't
so
catch what you were
yep.
saying.
yeah.
You wanna-
Yeah, you can,
I won't take up too much of your time, but. So this is our proposed plan, but there's a stream that discharges where we have an actual BVW down on the, let's see, north is here, so southwest where this discharges. This wetland system flows into a larger wetland system in the Harold Parker State Forest, and that's tributary to Emerson Brook Reservoir in Middleton. And so it's a tributary to a public water supply. So any tributary to a public water supply has a 200-foot protective zone from the bank, and that's called, that's known as the Zone A. And so the Zone A does extend onto the property a little bit, but the Mass GIS shows it in a, I'll just describe it as the wrong location. And we had Bruce Bauk, a senior hydrogeologist from DEP, come out and visit the site. We walked the site, and we gave him survey data, and he agreed that the Zone A, or the tributary, does not start until it comes out of that pipe just beyond our property line.
Okay.
On the side, I just have one more question. The fill that you brought in, because we said you want our fill certified, did that have any documentation on that, where it came from, or what it's consisted of?
Sure. So after that initial stuff happened, I tracked down the site work contractor, Colosi Construction, who's a Middleton person, also one of our clients, and he's been in Middleton for a long time. The material came from two different projects that he was working on. They happen to be our projects. There's a new subdivision in North Reading off of Elm Street, and another one in Middleton, a subdivision off of River Street. So both, if you will, they weren't fill sites. They were, it was all native soil.
And we have documentation, Amy, of that?
Not physical written documentation, but, we've had his testimony.
It would be nice to have a paper trail of that, so we know where the stuff is, or where, if there is a problem, where it came from.
Okay. I know we did put it in writing for Amy in an email, what I just described to you.
I mean, I don't have I thought you were saying like certifications.
No.
I mean, we have it in writing and in testimony,
isn't that,
in an email.
don't we have a condition that deals with that, or am I on the wrong?
No, well, in our standard orders of conditions, yes.
We have a
certification.
particular condition that has
Yes.
very specific,
Yes.
are you familiar with that?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that something you could provide, a more robust certification of that, Phil?
We can certainly do that.
It would be, I would consider it to be very positive if you complied with that condition in advance.
Okay. I'll have to read it again just to make sure I understand it. But
Please do, and if there's a question,
Well, what we want to see is a soil sample, and what it consists of. It's a gravel base.
well, we want to know more than that. We want to know where it came from.
I mean, I believe you're saying it came off of virgin soil, but
right, and these are all this activity, and I understand that that the commission was very concerned because there was some of the sediment was running off through the stone wall on our property and eventually made it to the wetland a little bit downstream from us. But all of this activity is well outside the buffer zone. So do you still want to?
Well,
do you need that information?
I understand. Let me ask the commission, I mean, on the two sites that I'm thinking about where this became an issue, they started as non-jurisdictional sites and they became jurisdictional during their life. And then we had to go in and deal with it retroactively.
Right.
I guess what I'm asking is, wouldn't it be more prudent, even though it may not be jurisdictional, wouldn't it be more prudent to comply with it now and avoid a situation where we might, if something goes wrong,
Yep.
and I'm sure it won't, but if something goes wrong and we have to order you to deconstruct the building so it can be excavated underneath it,
Right, nobody wants to do that, right?
Nobody wants to,
Yeah,
so I'm just saying, look, you know,
Okay.
you can roll the dice, you're a pro, or you can just comply with the order in advance and not have to ever hear those words.
Sure.
I mean, soil analysis on a project this size, the expenses
Right.
minimal.
I think we only
Well,
look for a bill of lading.
certificates of origin,
What's
where you got it.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that, if you went to someplace that can certify what's being brought in, that's sufficient.
I think
It's
usually
spelled
it's just a
out.
bill of lading, so even if Colosi just, you know,
Yep.
billed himself to say, you know, transport from to,
Well, you still wanna know what it is.
yeah, no,
You
it's-
still wanna know what it is.
but-
So
Yeah, I
that's
mean-
where I balked a little bit.
I know,
I don't know what the sampling requirements are, as long as that.
Like I said, it's a soil analysis,
Sure, for like hydrocarbons or something like that.
yeah,
I'll
then
take a
you
look
know
at
what it is, you don't really care where it comes from. as long as it's-
You wanna make sure before you bring it onto the site that you're not bringing on crushed and recycled plastic and glass and things like that.
Especially where there's drinking water issues.
Right.
You can proactively diffuse that with a very simple step here.
It's becoming, not so much in North Andover, but it's becoming a more prevalent thing across the industry where fill that's being imported onto the site is, you know, artificial.
Right.
And then it's having impacts going forward, like RCA did on one of our sites, and that became a jurisdictional site, and it's delayed that project by years.
Sure, I think it's fine, I just wanted to, I'm glad you explained it a little bit, so I'll make sure that we do that.
I mean, it would be prudent on your part, and we would appreciate it as well.
Okay. One more thing, the owner, because I went by there today, and I saw some signs up, and it said, you know, something to the effect of, no fill allowed on the site per order of Conservation Commission. So I made a few phone calls to find out what happened with that, but it was the owner,
Oh.
Mr. Felitti.
nice.
There's probably like half a dozen of them.
Oh,
There's
good.
one at the entrance.
Oh, that's
and
great.
they're throughout the site,
that's
so.
I rest my case.
Because sometimes, you know, it's hard to control a site like that if the gate is open during the day or whatever. Historically, you know, that site was open to contractors, you
There
know.
isn't any question, that's happened to us here
Yep.
in the past. That happened to us at a site on 114, a residential site, where it was excavated out, the Mr. McDonough site.
Yeah.
It was excavated out, all the nice soil was trucked out and sold, and then they literally brought in hazmat from a site that was supposed to be directed accordingly. And the hauler was paid the extra money to get rid of it legally, hazmat, and he brought it right into our site, dumped thousands of yards of it.
Yeah, that's bad.
And he had so
That
much-
that was bad for the potential homeowners.
And he had so much fun, he got to do it again.
And we were able to impound a $1 million piece of equipment in the meanwhile to assure compliance.
Right.
It's unnecessary. And it takes up a lot of our time that we don't have.
Okay. All right, we'll get you what you need then.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
so when do you want to continue till?
Yeah, when do you want to continue to? Our
So-
next meeting is June 28th and then July 26th. 26th.
So, based on the upcoming hearings and some traffic things that we have to go through, maybe that meeting in July would be more
July
appropriate.
26th?
Please.
Okay, yep.
So moved.
We have a gap because of,
Second.
you know,
Do you,
summer
I'm
vacation.
sorry, I offered a motion in haste. I don't know if we have any abutters here that want to be heard on this. None answer. I move that we continue to the July meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next one is 242-1869, 674 Turnpike Street.
Good evening. I'm Seth LaJoy, here representing Mohave County, my client. This is a septic upgrade for existing three-bedroom house. We have a small BBW, well, actually it's a pretty extensive BBW in the back there, but all of the work that we're proposing is in the front property. It's currently lawn area, and we've gone over quite a few things. There's a dewatering area in case we need it, and there's a proposed stockpile area. That is, both of those are outside of the 25-foot no disturb zones. The site is going to be accessed from 114. Basically, it's nice and flat and level in there, so they'll be able to get equipment, just pull right up to it and do it. Does the commission have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Well, to save for the sake of, I don't think we do. We're waiting for the Board of Health to respond. Have you heard anything from them?
I have not heard anything back from them yet.
So historically, we don't approve projects that have, when it's outstanding issues with, not issues, outstanding orders from different departments. So,
Yeah, well,
We
we'd
would-
want to
we'd
know
vo-
that
we
the
would
health
vote on it
department
anyways.
approves the
but
system.
if we want our members to ask some, have any questions, we can do that. But it'll have to be continued till the next meeting.
That's fine.
Do you have any questions? Just a quick look at it, Chad?
Just access, there's 114, it's a very busy road, as you know, and you've got a pretty big proposed stockpile area. I'm just wondering if that's enough construction access.
It's basically
That's
the
all.
entire frontage there is just
Yeah.
flat and level.
How-
I mean, you can see the edge of the pavement, and then the right-of-way stretches in about maybe 15, 20 feet from there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a flat, level area and it encompasses the entire frontage, so.
It's just tight, it's tight, but,
So the dashed line that
That
my
dashed line
cursor
is the
is
edge.
the edge of pavement?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so we
And then
got,
that solid line right near the A is the property, the actual property line.
property line.
Yeah. Just stay out front, because you'll be tempted to push things into that no disturb zone, and that, we'd have a problem with that. But it just seems like it's going to be difficult, and just need to make sure that that encroachment doesn't happen. Other than that, it's up to Board of Health, to approve what you have, and then we can move on from there.
So just, we had a previous order of conditions for the same thing, but it was never acted upon, so it's long since expired. I don't know if it's been recorded, so I don't know if that means anything to you guys, whether, if it hasn't been recorded and hasn't been acted upon and expired, do you want to do a certificate of compliance to
There needs
close
to
it?
be a certificate of something.
Yep, okay.
It doesn't have to be a compliance or not, it just be a certificate of no significance that it was never acted upon.
Yeah, there's a box on that COC.
Yeah,
form, right?
okay, all right.
There
So
should definitely be.
So maybe by the, that's easy. The next is just a quick,
That's not, I mean, it's just a matter of seeing if the thing's recorded as an order on the deed, so
Yeah.
it shouldn't be a.
but
problem there.
even if it isn't recorded, you guys want something.
I personally would like to see that on the
Yep.
order of conditions
Okay.
in the file.
Yep.
So that at some point in the future, if there's a question, we have the answer.
Yep.
That's typically all it's for, is
Okay.
just to help us
All right.
going forward.
All right, so I'll just get you that information on what we require for requesting a COC for a lapsed order that work never commenced under. It's straightforward. You don't have to do an as-built plan. I mean,
No.
it's
What
just,
am I gonna as-built?
I know, exactly. It's just a letter.
It's a no-build.
And it-
Here's my no-build plan.
Right, exactly.
That would be it?
Yeah, right.
That would be it. I think you caught on.
Yeah, right.
Also, the existing cesspools, what are you gonna do with those? Just leave them?
Okay, the existing cesspools, I believe, are just gonna be left in place, all right? That, as you can see, there's two cesspools in sequence. One of them is really close to the wetland area. I think that it's probably just prudent to leave them
I agree.
in place.
That's why I'm asking.
Okay. The Yeah,
What, no, that, the coop, is that already there?
it is there. Yep.
It is there.
Yeah.
There is no place to really put it, because, I mean, it's in the wetlands.
Do we have chickens in there?
No.
So it's not being used?
There are some nice pigeons.
It's not
living
being
in there.
used?
It's
Pigeons?
It's vacant, it's a
Like
vacant coop.
wild
Should
pigeons?
be- then it should
Making
be-
homes?
should be
I don't know,
moved.
they look domestic to me.
Oh.
You know, but-
So,
There are pigeons that are pets?
oh, if it's not being used, it should be removed, because it's an open violation. And we can't approve things with open violations. So that, I think that should be required to be removed. Is the concrete slab, is that existing now?
Yes.
Are they using it?
I think is there a shed on top of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a shed on top,
Yeah,
Like
that
a-
was permitted.
because that's another issue. It's right it's in the 25, and it's not right, it's almost in the wetlands.
Everything has to be cleaned up before you come back.
Yeah, I mean,
You gotta clean these issues up. You can't have non-conforming structures in the no.
I mean, those structures have been there since way before my client has owned the property or I've been involved with this, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
They'd have to predate the bylaw, though.
They don't.
no, I mean,
So not this.
Yeah, no,
It's gonna have to be brought into compliance,
and
the site,
okay.
okay? No, 25 no disturb, 50-foot no build. It's gonna have to be brought into compliance with the 2550.
I'm not even looking at, because ours is existing, the deck, I don't know if it's is it being put in now, or is it existing?
No, that's existing.
The deck's existing?
Yeah.
Do you know when it was installed?
I have no idea.
I don't know when it was installed. I can tell you that it looks like
I
it's
said,
been there for
I'm not
20
trying to
years,
single
you know?
you guys out, but what I'm trying to do is, one thing we try to do here is be consistent, so that if somebody comes in and says, looks at these, and says, wait a minute, you got a coop in the wetlands, and you got a concrete slab in the wetlands, and you let them have it.
or at least in the 25.
Yeah, because the 20, it's in the 25, and it's actually almost in the wetlands, and I bet you if they, probably pretty close. So those have to be removed, I think.
Would it be possible to move the chicken coop outside the 25? Is it movable?
I mean,
They have no land. Look at the plan.
it seems that you're looking for my client to pay for the sins of the past here. I mean, he had nothing to do with that concrete slab being there.
How long has he been there?
2 years.
No, I lost more. 2011.
So these were not legal in 2011 either. The 2550 existed then, and it existed now, so
I mean,
The slab was there, and we did get a permit to put the shed there. And the permit was from town. They came, they checked it. But we do have a permit.
Permit for the shed?
Yes,
When did you get that?
after 2011, 2016,
2015?
maybe that day.
What year?
he says 2011.
We have been there since 2011, but in about 2-3 years, we requested that to put a shed there.
Oh,
That's
This needs to be continued, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Can I get one?
Yeah.
So the plan of the notice of intent is stamped by a registered sanitarian, not a professional engineer.
Say that again?
So the plan's stamped by a registered sanitarian and not a professional engineer, which is fine for a septic plan, but on the notice of intent, if the plan's not stamped by an engineer, we don't get a letter from a design engineer back with the as-built. So it'd be nice to get a PE stamp on there as well.
and get a PE stamp.
Yeah, that's
I mean, that's
just,
So, well, the coop is definitely, especially if it's abandoned.
Can we ask you to do some research on
Yes.
the site,
Yep,
please?
yep.
Good. Talk to building and check applications and permits, and then we'll know.
I know,
Okay.
he said that he got a building permit,
Well, so Amy's gonna,
that one.
I,
But I don't think the coop has ever been, was permitted.
listen,
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so if there was a building permit issued for the shed, we're gonna find it. If it was issued in 2011, it should have been signed by our department. And if our department signed off on that slab, I'll be interested in seeing that. It's,
but it was there, sir. The slab was there. We didn't put it in.
so,
He's saying you got the building permit for the shed to put it on
Yes.
top of the slab.
I got it, and so we're gonna find out
Yeah,
when the
just
slab
get
got put in there.
Okay.
We can
Yep.
use historical information to, we have to find out, Anthony.
No, I agree, I'm just, it's only the shed that was put on it.
Yes.
So we're gonna continue you, and Amy's gonna do some research on the site, and she'll probably be in touch with you.
So we'll just continue until the next meeting if that works for you.
It's fine with me.
Okay. Motion to continue.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So that's the 28th of June.
All right, thank you for your time this evening.
Thanks.
Thank you for yours.
Next one is EOs. 366 Candlestick Road.
All right. Yeah, are we, oh, we're done with NOIs already? Okay. All righty, so, Commission issued an amended enforcement order last fall and approved a planting plan for 10 saplings that is a mixture of white pine and oak. They had a deadline of the end of May this year to install those plants. They did comply with that deadline. Wetland markers have been installed. Justine and I visited the site today. I did visit it earlier in May. The plants looked better in May than they do today. So there's 5 to 6 small white pines that are very stressed or dead. 4 small oaks. Most are either very stressed or dying, and there's only one that is healthy. There were 5 or 6 oak sproutlings that were tagged in the field, but I believe those to be naturally occurring, so I don't think they were planted. There was a red maple with a tag on it, and I wasn't sure if it was planted, but the leader was dead and the lower branches had some leaves. There was sweet pepper bush that was tagged, but those were naturally occurring. So we caught a wood frog jumping around in the upland at the left side of the house, so we know they're in the area. We saw some tadpoles in the pool that is behind the house. We couldn't get close enough to get a good ID, but we know a wood frog was in the vicinity. I think the wetland markers need to be installed, move up the slope a little bit. But the EO does require that monitoring be done for 4 full growing seasons and that annual reports submitted by the wetland consultant, and that any dead or dying plants or trees need to be replaced within those 4 years. So we have planted plants that aren't doing well, so we'll need a new group to be replanted, basically. So that's where we're at.
So what do you recommend with regard to
So,
the dead or dying? Do you recommend taking any action now, right away?
Well, I think the EO speaks for itself. We are telling them that any dead or dying specimens need to be replaced.
They planted them at the best time,
Yeah.
and they died, so
yeah.
something
Yeah,
didn't
so,
work.
right.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
5 to 6 small white pines. Why do we want white pines?
Well, it was part of the approved planting plan that the commission reviewed.
Yeah, so we.
I mean, we can require a different set of species if
I
if
guess
you'd like.
I may not have been at that meeting. Maybe if the white pines don't make it, maybe they'd be replaced with something other than white pines.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't stop those things from growing behind my house.
I know, usually they take off, but
So,
I
so
don't
there
know.
could be a soil issue,
Yep.
you know. But,
Let the generator kick in.
I don't,
I'd be kicked in that fast.
no, that was too fast. Do you have
So-
any specific recommendation on the planting? 'Cause,
Um,
I mean, that just jumped out at me.
No, yeah, I mean, I think we can look at the approved planting list for North Andover and pick a better set of species.
Work with Maureen.
Yes, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
excellent.
Just for my own education, you have four growing seasons,
Yep.
equated to 4 years.
Well, that seems a long time.
I always thought you had 2 growing seasons a
That's
year.
good.
but-
That's good.
I think it was because they're all trees.
Gotcha.
They're all trees.
Yeah, and this is an example of what happens.
All right, no, fair enough. That's,
That's
Yeah.
what, I mean, I know they got a 4-year period, but
The root masses, if they don't go in exactly right, and if they're not fed, and if there's not a good base under the root mass, there's a million ways to kill a tree. And,
Yep.
yeah.
If you don't water 'em.
And they need water,
Yeah,
they
they
need to
need
be
care.
fed.
Yeah,
They
no,
need,
it's,
Yeah.
they definitely need to be fed when they're stressed.
it may be worthwhile to let the applicant know they sell those tree bags that maybe.
Yeah,
if
tree
they're
bags.
Putting them out so they can get
Yep.
water to them and,
Yep.
you know, instead of dropping $100 a tree on a regular basis.
Okay,
So communicate with the owners.
yes, absolutely. I will communicate
so
that.
take no action.
Take no action.
Take no action, and I will,
Other than
I'll follow it.
Other than follow up.
yep,
Okay.
with different
Next
species
one
and
is-
care.
450 Marble Ridge Road.
Okay. Alrighty, so, this is a follow-up from an enforcement order issued last fall for the import of fill to level off the shoulder of a driveway, that went into the 25 no disturb zone. They removed the soil per the enforcement order. You approved a restoration plan that included, is it 10 high bush blueberry in the plan. Justine and I visited the site today and observed that, well, the plants were installed on time, and we do have more of a variety than just high bush blueberry, and every single shrub is in very, very good health. So we've got a chokeberry, a couple winter berries, some high bush blueberries, sweet pepper bush, and three smaller blueberries that are above and beyond what was called for, and they're at the top of the shoulder in the driveway. The seed mix is taking well. There is some bare spots on the slope, and that could use some more seed, but otherwise, things are really looking good at this site. The wetland markers, I would like to coordinate their final locations for the posts, and the wetland consultant needs to monitor the plants for 2 full growing seasons, and overall survival of 75% for 2 years post-install. And then plants that die or are dying need to be replaced within those 2 years. But so far, so good. The plants look really healthy.
It's the same thing, take no action.
Yep.
You have any questions, Jack?
No.
Okay,
Okay.
this one's finished. Next one, 350 Sharpender's Pond Road.
Alrighty. So, the commission issued an enforcement order in November of last year for unpermitted construction of a 180 square foot shed within the 50-foot no disturb zone to a potential vernal pool and ground disturbance and some shrub removal in that area. We required a restoration plan and a plan that showed the shed to be outside of the 75-foot no-build zone. We received the plan that has the shed located outside of the 100-foot buffer zone and a proposed planting plan somewhere called out. It's on this plan, isn't it? I know it's on, I know it's in your packets.
Yep.
Maybe it's in the letter, I don't know.
Consists of 8 shrubs.
8 shrubs, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so witch hazel and chokeberry. Right?
It was 4 black chokeberry and 4 American hazelnut.
Okay. And Chris Baragis is here if you have any questions for that.
Jack, do you have any questions?
Just on the location of the shed, it looks like it complies. The planting plan, I don't have a comment on.
Looks
it.
fine.
It says here they're moving.
No, right, but that's the proposed location.
Okay. It's out of the buffer, so that's fine.
Yeah, which is good.
We checked in with the property owner this afternoon, and she's ready to move the shed and plant the plants as soon as you folks give the green light.
So we were just waiting for this plan, and the commission may want to consider amending the enforcement order that sets deadlines for moving the shed and installing plants. So I think the shed could be moved sooner than later. We're coming up on midsummer, so maybe wait till September for the plantings, just to, I mean, it's just not a good idea to plant in the middle of the summer, but whatever.
Move the shed when it's dry, plant the plants
When
when it
it's
gets
wet.
wet again. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
I think September 27th is just a little late for planting, though.
okay. Yeah,
I like it around the first week in September.
okay,
During, when you're starting to get the transition.
okay.
I think so, anyway.
How wet is it where the shed is now? Is that what the issue is?
Yeah,
The shed's, around the shed's wet?
no, the shed is in the 50.
No, but I mean, it can't be moved now.
Oh, it can be moved now, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so that can
Absolutely.
happen
And it's going outside
anytime.
of the 100, right?
It's going outside the 75.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no issues.
Okay.
It's actually
So
outside.
you're all set, we're all set with what date you want for the planting plan?
Labor Day,
Labor Day?
plus or minus. What's the first meeting in September?
13th.
Perfect.
So by then, by,
By then.
okay,
We should be receiving the report at that meeting.
okay,
I
alrighty.
I recommend anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. The shed has to be, should be moved yesterday.
Well,
Yesterday.
I'd wait till the rain stops. Looks like it's gonna be raining for a couple days.
Yeah.
Whole week. Yeah. All right, so,
So deadline for the shed?
yeah, deadline for the shed.
Deadline for the shed.
Month?
By the 28th?
Yeah, July.
June 28th or the July 26th?
I think the July 26th.
July
Just in
26th.
case it stays wet for the next.
Yep,
Good idea.
Week or so?
Yeah, good idea. You never
okay.
know.
Yeah, just.
That's cool. All right,
So we're good. We got the dates?
yep.
So,
You got the dates?
Yes.
do you need a motion to amend the order? So
Yes.
I'll move the amendment.
For the
All those in
dates.
favor say aye.
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 Yeah.
Opposed, next.
Deadlines.
And you do know that those dates, once those dates, if you go past those dates, unless you have a reason, fine will be incurred.
Well, tell us before you go past.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
the
make a phone call.
Understood, yeah. The homeowner's ready, willing, and able to make it happen, so.
That's excellent.
Thank you. Okay.
So she'll also need to get a permit from the building department for the shed. I don't know if she's done that yet, but that's something else that
Okay.
she needs to think about. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. Next one is 241 Mass Ave.
Alrighty, so, the latest EO required that, all of the demo debris be removed from the edge of the stream and, erosion controls be installed. Justine visited today and found that aside from just a few metal scraps left over, that, all the demo debris has been removed. Erosion controls have been installed in the form of mulch-filled sock. The entire perimeter of disturbed areas is protected now. And let's see, at the last meeting, the homeowner reported that they engaged Warren Cameron Group to prepare the notice of intent. So the chairman thought perhaps a deadline for filing notice of intent that you guys could discuss. So,
Site stable?
yeah, I mean,
Stable and there's no work.
I wouldn't go.
right, exactly.
Or is it not stable?
Well, there's no grass growing on the,
I mean,
It's just
it's,
dirt.
in terms of, now that we have erosion controls, nothing's getting to the
You're
wetlands.
not worried about migration?
No, I'm not,
Okay, all right.
right.
but I made a suggestion, you see, when we have EOs and they run the gamut, they do what they're supposed to do, and they're required to get an NOI, an RDA, whatever it is. We should put some type of time limit. We can always extend it, but, you know, once the EOs is ratified, then they can just leave it. And it's not up to code, so I think we should make it a date sensitive. If they don't come and say, well, we can't do it by July 15th or whatever, that we can give them an extension if the reasoning is sufficient. I mean, this way we have all these loose ends just hanging around.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
We always do.
We do
We
that.
always give, we give deadlines all the time. We always do. I agree with you. So what's a reasonable deadline, Amy, for submittal of an NOI?
Well, submittal,
Be the 14th, right?
plain old submittal is one thing, and then submittal to get onto a certain agenda is another thing. So there's deadlines related to a target meeting date to be
So
opening a hearing.
we want to see them in the July meeting.
So you want to open the hearing on the July meeting?
We want the NOI submitted so that we can open it in the July meeting.
Yeah.
but don't they need a plan for that submittal?
Well,
Yes.
they've engaged Maury Cam.
I know, but I know, I'm just questioning the turnaround.
Give them 6 weeks, basically.
That's what I'm saying.
Is the end
That
of
gives
July.
them 6 weeks.
Yeah, well, so yes, July, 2 weeks before, so July 14th for the...
It's the second, no, the
So
third.
July 13th is the deadline for the 26th.
Sorry.
So that's a 4-week
So-
deadline. What's
Yeah,
wrong?
no, that's reasonable. That's-
I mean, are they building a shopping mall, or what are they doing?
Yeah, I know.
And again, they can always say
I know.
that we've done the survey and we're working on the notice and just put that letter in.
I mean, you know, if we're gonna give deadlines, let's make them mean something.
Right, yeah.
We tell people they get unlimited amount of time, what are we doing?
I think a month's reasonable for...
I think a month is more than reasonable,
Yeah, but they already had discussion.
unless they're building a skyscraper, they should be able to get it filed.
And I think the pool's already there, so it's not like they're building anything.
Yeah, the pool's been there forever.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
rehab. It was like rotted out, so they
Okay.
took out the superstructure.
That would have been approved.
Okay, so deadline,
So, deadline of July 13th to be placed on the July 26th agenda.
okay, and is that the only modification and amendment we're making to the EO?
Yeah, I guess, continue to cease and desist, maintain erosion controls, no more stockpiling of anything. To get
Erosion
your
controls
NOI
have to
and
remain functional.
The what? Yes,
Okay.
yes, maintain it, yep,
I'll move it.
okay.
One of the, but they do know that there's still no activity can be
No
done.
activity. Continue cease and desist.
Okay,
Yep.
so we have a motion for the,
You need a second.
we need a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous. Okay. We talked about doing the two Bonnie Lanes one together.
Yep.
Should we could do that, right?
We can do that. Absolutely. They're right next door.
The reason why I'm saying that is they've retained 47 and 59 Bonnie Lane have retained the same people to do the work. So instead of going over the things twice, we'll just have them go together.
Right.
Is there a representative for 50? Yeah, okay, there he is. Okay. Fire away, Amy.
Okay, so homeowners of both 47 and 59 have engaged Williams and Sparagus to help them address the directives in the enforcement orders. Existing condition surveys are just about finished from what I understand. I think there's some last details that need to be worked out. They have engaged a Howard Gaffin with Gaffin Tree Company? Or
Gaffin Tree.
Gaffin Tree. And he's a certified arborist that can perform the tree appraisal. It took a little time to find someone with that expertise, so they're just a little bit behind schedule because of that. But I received good recommendations for Mr. Gaffin from other respected tree companies that I've worked with, so I think we're in good hands with that. I do believe they're going to be asking for an extension for all the deliverables, and I think Howard's evaluation should inform the restoration plan. I think they should coordinate and work together to come up with something. I think his input is important. The planning board has asked that the Conservation Commission withhold its final approval of any plans until it can review it at their July 11th meeting. But, you know, we can still receive and review and make comment, but hold off on final approval before they can get their eyes on it.
So they don't have to come before planning? Just
Oh, they do.
Oh, they do?
Oh, yes, they do.
That's why they're asking if we don't take.
Yeah, they want,
We don't, do
I
it.
thought they just wanted to review up the plan that we accepted.
Waterford special permit, is that what they do?
I think they're going to do after the fact special
Right, so we
permit.
were at the planning board last week, for the record, Mr. Chair, Chris Sparagus from Williams and Sparagus, and the planning board would like us to do a after-the-fact filing for the activity.
Okay.
Is that, no, I'm just asking because I don't know, is that a watershed permit?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. That makes sense.
Right. So, okay, so we just,
So the request is
want to go to next, continue to what, the next meeting?
Deliverables by the next meeting, is that?
Yes, yeah, we've done quite a bit. The folks that were involved and the property owners are here this evening. They feel terrible about what's happened, but they understand that this has to be corrected. So they hired us pretty much right away. We went out, Thor Akeley from our office went out and flagged the wetland resources. There's a BVW along close to the water's edge, and on one of the properties, a small isolated wetland down in the flat. So there's buffer zones associated with that. And so the erosion control went in on number 47 right away per Thor's instructions down at the bottom of the activity. And then the survey work has been completed. We've drawn up the topographic plan. But when this lot was first built upon on 47, there was some lots that were swapped, little pieces of lots left and right. The current deed doesn't describe all of those pieces. We want to make sure that we're showing the lot in its proper configuration, so we're doing a little bit more title research. That's the reason why we needed a little bit more time. But the plan is in pretty good shape, and we've already shared it with Mr. Gaffin, and we're going to be collaborating on the restoration plan with Mr. Gaffin so that we can come up with something that's appropriate and then present it to both you and the planning board for your review.
You've been working on 59 also, right?
Yep, same things. No silt fence was necessary on that one, but everything else is the same. Basically a carbon copy of what I just explained.
Well, you mentioned that on her property there's wetlands
On both properties.
on both properties.
Yeah, we're right on the lake,
I know.
literally on the lake. Yep.
Well, to reinforce the last time I spoke to you about the dock, so therefore it's a violation. So, a wetland violation, it's in the wetlands. So that has to be removed before we can go anywhere in his project.
On 59?
59's got a dock.
So, could I just interject? So that, as I mentioned in the last meeting.
Could you speak into the microphone,
Oh,
please?
sure.
Yeah, if you go to the podium.
So as I mentioned in the last meeting, that I just moved in last fall. That dock had been there, I believe, since 1985, plus or minus. It's been there for some time, different iterations, I think. But also, I think almost every property on the lake has a dock, including most specifically
Not for long.
Brooks, which is just building out their boathouse now with a brand new dock.
Brooks has permits and a Chapter 91, so they are properly permitted.
Yeah, Brooks enjoys an exemption as well as an educational facility.
Okay, no,
Well,
that's,
they're not exempt, but they have permits in place
Yep.
for their docks.
so I'm just confused why a dock would be in violation.
Well, it's considered a structure.
The docks that you're referring to were unpermitted, and there's no grandfather clause on an unpermitted item. So at some point, they're all gonna go away.
The lake's a great pond too, so anything that extends below the high water line requires a Chapter 91 license. So that's a filing through the state to be able to use waters of the Commonwealth.
I understand. So part of the reason why I think everyone who has purchased property on that lake is doing so for kayaking, canoeing, what have you. Those docks help us not impose any body part on the water.
Yeah.
So it's to me it's almost a benefit because it helps me not get into the water to access my kayak. It's something that helps me maintain strict no adherence or touching of the water. So
I like it because there's lots of fish underneath it too.
At the last meeting, I believe the harbor master was here.
Yeah.
And there is a harbor master in town now that's gonna be handling all that. So,
We are putting it, you guys opened the can of worms. So we are putting a committee together to at some point have all the docks removed. So you're not, but yours right now is a violation. Any docks that are in the wetlands are gonna go because they're in the wetlands.
So the way the banking is, and I think maybe Chris can speak more to this, it drops down quite. I mean, I'd say about a few feet. So without a dock, I'm definitely going to be accessing a kayak or canoe from my property. That dock helps me allow to not touch that water source.
It's unfortunate, the bylaw is the bylaw. There's the wetlands, there's a 25-foot no disturb. This commission.
I'm just saying as something
I know,
perhaps you can consider.
and I understand your dilemma.
And I'd be happy to pursue any permitting. I know when I actually researched the 91.
So I don't know how you'd get relief on it. I understand where you're going. I don't know what the appeals process is, because I haven't seen the complete removal process. So I'm sure there'll be some due process.
Well,
So everything in 91 that I researched, it was about making sure the dock was in sound shape and that it was well fit. It wasn't deteriorating. That's something that I'm gonna make sure I actively, if I'm allowed to.
well, but that's something we're gonna have to research, because if we go by that bylaw, the dock is considered a structure. The structure is in the 25-foot no disturb.
But it's a temporary structure.
Yeah, I would
isn't
say
it?
that if they took it in and out, it could be a temporary structure, but
Right.
I think there needs to be collaboration with the harbor master.
That's,
and-
I
Which,
agree.
which
Yeah, no,
the,
that's-
the full intention, and to my understanding for the previous owner, every fall that comes out and every spring it would go in.
That was always a requirement, because leaving it in for the winter is just a bad idea.
Right, right.
The ice is gonna move it, break it, and it's gonna end up a mile away, so that, yeah.
I would just ask if you would consider, again, it wouldn't allow me to touch the water, to actively.
So I think you have to apply. I don't think we can.
Yeah, I think that's.
You've got to get an application in, and I don't know exactly what form it is, I'll be honest with you.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think we can advise you as we learn a little more, but yeah, we'd probably.
Can we find out what the,
Yeah, I mean,
like, if he wants to make a retroactive application,
'Cause I'd be happy to do whatever I need to do.
well, I don't know it
to-
exists yet, we're just kind of putting it out there here, because this is new for us.
well, for us, it would be an after-the-fact notice of intent, and then Chapter 91 waits for a notice of intent to turn into an order of conditions,
Okay,
and
so-
then they move forward with
So
their
that's what
Chapter
you'd be
91
doing.
license.
You'd be filing an after-the-fact notice of intent. And-
Okay.
Which would require a waiver.
Well, but let him, he wants to go through the process, let him go through.
I'm trying to save him time here.
He doesn't want.
Well, I
to-
just
he
think
wants-
that,
he
you know,
wants
every-
he wants his dock.
Every
So-
resident in North Andover gets to enjoy the boat landing and access canoes and kayaks through that avenue. You know, I purchased the property hoping and being excited to enjoy.
One of the items that does come up with Chapter 91 is public use as well, so just be
So,
aware. So they usually require some sort of public benefit to the, so just, I'm not
Yeah.
saying what they're gonna require, but kind of keep that in mind as you go through the process.
I encourage you to do the notice of intent, and follow the instructions. And, you know, no promises, no inducements, no rewards, just put it out there and see what happens.
Can I at least get some relief on not removing it until that process is seen through?
No.
What's that?
He wants to know if he's asking for a stay of execution on removing the dock while he's filing his application. I don't think we can. I don't think we have that authority. I know exactly what you're asking for, and I don't think we can do that.
So there's no benefit of the doubt or anything,
We can't say to you, you can keep the violation in place while you apply, because whether it's a shed, you've heard us, you've listened to all the stuff we ask people to do.
But with the shed, if you don't mind me interjecting, the shed, you don't remove every fall. It stays in its place.
I get it.
So again, to the temporary structure argument, that every fall it would come out, sit on the land, and every spring, so it's strictly temporary. And in fact, it doesn't even ground into the bed of the pond. And I apologize, I'm not pressing on this. I just purchased a property.
We can't give you a stay of execution from an order.
Oh, because even if somebody said that they're gonna do something in their yard in the 25, but it's only gonna be temporary, we're only gonna use it in the summer, or say a pool, an above-ground pool, well, we'll take it down in the winter and put it back in the spring. Well, it was in the wetlands.
I appreciate those analogies, but I would, just to my defense, each house has a dock, and so.
But stay tuned.
No, I understand. I'm just saying, I hope the folks who live on the lake aren't just being directly penalized just because of something that perhaps could have been grandfathered.
The most important thing you have to remember is, and it was my intention when I first came on this commission, I thought the lake was jurisdictional because the lake is the most important thing. It used to have a sign back at where the boats are on 133. It used to say, had the picture of the Indian on the canoe, and it would say, Town of North Andover, North Andover's greatest asset, Lake Etchickwick, North Andover's greatest asset. And it used to be crystal clear. You could go in and drink out of a cup and drink the water. And then our forefathers from previous, we had an opportunity to buy that land, and they missed the boat. They didn't buy it because we had a setback that they went to court, and they ruled it was unreasonable. And then the lake went from crystal clear to brown because Camelon came in and they just.
No, that's not the only thing that happened.
Well, that was some.
If you ever want a real history lesson, I'll be glad to do it, but it'll chew up an hour of everybody's time.
I know.
Because this commission, when Bonnie Lane was first proposed and constructed, this commission denied the application for Bonnie Lane, and the Mass DEP issued a superseding order overruling us. So there's history up the wazoo that I could give you, specific to Bonnie Lane. The fecal coliform levels in that lake quadrupled when Bonnie Lane was built. And the drinking water in this town was condemned by the state for more than a year until the coliform was brought under control. See, when you get to be an old guy and you haven't lost your memory yet, you got all kinds of useful stuff. So I can fill you all in on the history of Bonnie Lane and the brown water that Lou's talking about, but what I didn't learn in law school was how to issue a stay of execution from a board seat. I don't think we can. I think a stay of execution has to come from a court of competent jurisdiction. That's my opinion. It's a free opinion, so that's what it's worth. I don't know what else to tell you.
I think as a matter of perspective, it's a large issue that needs to be addressed properly, and I think last meeting was the first step for at least getting started with the planning board and the Conservation Commission working together to, look at options, look at, uses and, the value of these, having these docks and everything. And it's a large issue that's not going to be resolved tonight.
No.
But I think we've taken a good first step, and the right people are involved. I'm sure more people will be involved, for review and evaluation. But I think, it's not going to be resolved tonight. It's probably going to be resolved in a matter of months, and I think we're doing the best we can. We've got the right people on it, and
I guess the last thing I would just say, not to belabor the point, is I know Brooks has a special educational use, but I think as a homeowner, I could perhaps argue that I think no one would appreciate and value and respect the lake more perhaps than us. I know we made some violations with trees, and we're doing our best bet with Chris's help and Howard and others to better that. But I just, when you think about this and pursue those conversations, I think we would be more mindful and respectful to the lake perhaps than some folks who don't live here and who are just in high school. So I just respectfully say that.
Gotcha. Because you live
I'm
here.
going to be retiring and living my sunset years there. There's nothing more that I would want to do to be respectful to that lake. So I think I understand the dock. We just want to rip them out, but just please consider that we would be very mindful of the use of those.
We're not saying take it out tomorrow. There needs to be a plan in place that it's not just rip it out. So, I mean, you're going to be working with your engineer to come up with the restoration plan that,
And an application at the same time. You should be, if you're serious about it, you should be getting an NOI application completed.
Okay.
With the Chapter 91 attachment to it.
well, he wouldn't be able to file for it until we have
The NOI.
the order of conditions.
Order of conditions.
So,
Okay, and we can't open a hearing if there's a violation in place. If there's an open violation, that has to be cleared up before we can open the meeting. So if you come in with an NOI and you put it on the table and say, this is my notice of intent, I want to keep my dock, and Amy says, well, yeah, but the dock's still in the water, your hearing won't get opened.
I thought, okay.
It's an open,
Well,
if there's an open violation.
or it won't move forward.
Well, that's,
I mean, it stalls until.
and that goes with any notice of intent. If you wanted to put a swimming pool, or if you wanted to put a tennis court, or anything you wanted to do that required an application from us, and there were violations on the site that were articulated and recorded by Amy, your application would be stopped.
You were here just before, the applicant before us, he was going for a septic system, and we saw a chicken coop up against the wetlands, and we saw a slab right up against the wetland. Those are open violations. We can't go forward and let him do that, be illegal in some areas and approve others.
But it appears that the slab is grandfathered. The
It's
coop
not.
is
Not
easy to.
grandfathered.
He says it's grandfathered. I'm calling.
We're
the-
waiting for the
Okay.
paperwork, but the coop is definitely.
He's not
out.
grandfathered. He's just wishful thinking.
The other thing I would just add on the dock is that I wouldn't intend to add to the dock or to change it or modify it. Or the one that was there since, I think, 1989 or 85 would stay. I'm just saying as more of an FYI.
I'm not blaming you, it's a violation.
Get a second opinion, but start to fill out your notice of intent.
Okay.
All right, and get a second opinion, but I think if I know the system at all, at some point, there's gonna be a clash between your application and the open violation of the dock and the water. So you just have to be prepared for that.
Just while you have your engineer here, are we planning on the restoration work being done under an enforcement order? Or are we looking for a notice?
I think it's,
I would
it's
say
cleaner.
EDO. I would say.
Yeah, that was my thought too. I just wanted to make sure.
But
Yeah.
that's
that,
the
you know-
restoration work.
Yes.
That's not
Yeah.
the.
Yeah, no, that's,
The restoration work is not gonna look at his dock.
no, but just to make sure that we get what we want and there's no confusion
Right.
on the next meeting.
Yep.
It's, historically, it's been, restoration's better under an EO,
yep.
because we can get it done right away, historically. I don't know, whatever you,
No, I agree.
No, that's-
you're the
I agree.
boots on the ground, so
No,
you
yeah,
and boots on the ground here.
Things that would never be permitted should never come under a notice of intent.
There it is, okay.
Like I said, I know you don't want the dock out, but even if you took it out temporarily, because when you were gonna spend all this money on NOI, and then come before us, and it won't be open, because you have an open violation. So you're better off just taking the dock out for now, till your NOI gets approved or denied, and then go from there. Because
I know it's not the answer you want to hear, but
it's not the answer you want to hear,
he's
but
telling you the truth.
I'm trying to help.
No, I appreciate that. I just think, as a recent homeowner who just purchased the property, and it was advertised with a dock
Yeah, I know
through Everett Avenue, it's something that, but it was also mentioned that it's a drinking source and you can't swim and of course like that. So it's just, it's a tough pill to swallow when you purchase a home and you're excited to utilize the lock, the lake, via canoeing or kayaking or what have you. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Well, it's not over, so let me just ask you this courtesy, push the pause button for right now. Let us work on the restoration, and then if you need counseling on the application later, you can get it from our office.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay? All right, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, so you want to do the next meeting?
Yeah, that would be great. We should get back in front of you with the plan. I think you should see the plan.
Okay.
So commission would vote to grant an extension to the June 28th meeting for all the deliverables? And then I could just write
I got distracted with all the
yeah,
doc discussion. We're talking about the restoration.
restoration deliverables, yes.
And
I could write an addendum letter to the enforcement order with that extension. Does that make sense?
whatever you want to do there, that's, I like you to have total discretion over the restorations.
Well, I just document that you guys are granting the extension.
So, yeah.
I
so
move
do
that we grant an extension to the 28th
There
for
it is.
filing.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
Extension.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you
Sorry
very much.
to tie you
Thanks for
guys up.
coming.
you.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
You got your work cut out for you there, brother.
Yeah, we did.
All right.
Where are we, flagship?
Next one is flagship.
Oh, my favorite, it's my favorite place.
Yeah.
Okay, so I gave you a copy of the latest EO for the impacted wetlands to the violator. Per the enforcement order that governs the 40 flagship site, the stop work signs have been installed at the site. Fines are being assessed for the lack of submittal of a restoration plan for the impacted wetlands, so those are ongoing. No response from the violator. I have not been able to get time with the town council to discuss the possibility of revoking the planning board special permit, but I'm working on it. She's been out of the office, but, so I'm endeavoring to sit down with her and talk
That's
about
the
that.
planning board special.
Yes, yep. One of the owners of 85 Flagship contacted me today, floating their ideas about cleaning up the wetlands themselves. I told them that I'd be giving you guys a brief update tonight, and that he'd be welcome to come to the meeting if you want to give him direct feedback or you want to talk to him. So you can come on up and you can
Are
just.
you Tony?
I am.
Tony, you can either stand or sit, and just tell us your name for the record and fire away.
Sure, Tony Frangioso. I'm one of the trustees of 85 Condo Association, one of the, I think it was 2 other neighbors to 40 that's been affected by this. And we're as frustrated, I think, as, maybe not as much as you guys are, but, you know, we met early with them, tried to comply, brought counsel in, did all the things that we thought we needed to do as a good neighbor, and disappeared, and despite all of our efforts, have not had any luck getting a hold of any response from them. Your signs are up nice and bright on the property, so to speak.
The no trespassing signs or?
The stop
No,
work.
Stop work signs, good,
Yeah.
good, good.
Now, have you met with the other 2 abutters on this? that are in this enforcement?
No, I haven't. When Amy first contacted me about it, that was, you know, sort of one of the thoughts. Maybe I can try to rally the neighbors. Don't really know them that well or how affected they are. But, you know, it's a problem. I think it addresses all of our properties. We have 10 condo units within the 85 association, and I think one of the unit owners had explored selling their property, and this came up as one of the issues. So it's a concern.
Do we have an EO on 85?
We have any on?
Well, on 40 Flagship, but,
No, on the
oh,
other
we have it
ones,
on,
too.
on the other ones too?
All 3.
Well,
So he has, the person that's trying to sell now has an issue because it's
Well,
a standing order.
Yeah, I'm on the, you know, one of the trustees. I'm speaking on behalf of one of the unit owners. Don't know if he's trying to. He had explored it and raised it at one of our meetings. You know, what's the next step? And Amy's been great in corresponding and helping to advise, right, on what we need to do.
Well, I'm
So-
glad you came. At least we get some type of movement.
It's good to see somebody, it's good to see somebody, just your presence here is appreciated.
Oh, thank you. I mean, you know, just I like to take a common sense approach, and, you know, what's the path of least resistance, and clearly working with them as a neighbor does not seem to be an alternative. So I don't know if we're able to take some steps to, because I think it's been approved, the work that needs to get done affecting our property, right?
Off-site, you're talking.
Off-site, yeah, not on 40, but on 85.
Down the hill.
Down the hill.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Amy,
we-
would they have to do what's required, would they have to file an NOI? Or could we give them an EO?
Yeah, I think.
we could
that
give
would be
them
the
an
way to do it.
EO. We'd need some sort of a plan of attack for the restoration.
We could give you what we call a friendly enforcement order?
Yeah, I thought the NOI was done. We gave them authorization to come onto our property and
Yeah.
to do the whole
They-
NOI, and I thought it had been
They
processed.
never
They never did it?
submitted it.
Nobody ever came in and did anything, so it's been nothing, there's been nothing. And,
Okay,
so that's why we're taking the approach we're taking through the planning board.
Right.
Revoking the permit, posting the property, you know,
right.
we gotta do something, but you guys down the hill, if you all got together and wanted to hire a qualified person to restore the area down there that's been damaged, we could issue an enforcement order allowing you to have your qualified person do that work. You'd have to get a wetland scientist or somebody that's.
Sure.
Aren't they under an EO now?
No, the violator is under the EO as the responsible party who caused the damage.
Yeah,
And he's getting fined. The violator is getting fined.
But these
for
guys, they
not
wanna move
submitting.
forward, they wanna clean it
No,
up.
I understand.
Possibly. We don't know what's involved, but I'm here to try to identify, you know, what would happen if we wanted to go down that.
So you know what we should be
path.
doing? We should be giving him a list of names of wetland scientists that they can, we're gonna give you a list. And you go down the list and you call them and tell them what your goal is, and see if you can find one interested in coming in and taking on the job.
Right, and you said there's 2 other properties that are
Yeah,
affected?
so, 85, and then there's 115
400
Flagship,
Which is right next to us, okay.
right, and then, 400 Willow.
We're writing the fines.
I know.
We
She's
write that
been-
number every day.
And has there been any response from the other two?
One of them did. I think, 115 in the very beginning contacted me. But, basically he was, question was,
Right,
40 flagship guys got to fix it.
right. And I don't think anyone's excited about doing the repairs for them.
No.
And probably, I think there was something we talked a little about, is there anything that, if we do go to this route, anything the town can help us in recovering?
You guys can sue them. The town can't help you.
No, right, we're suing,
We can't help you except give you
Right.
permits to do the stuff.
Right,
But if you want to be made whole down the road, that's you guys getting counsel and going after them.
And you should be telling your other people, if we issue an enforcement order, and one of your people try to sell it, that could tie them up in title.
Sure.
Because there's an outstanding order. So it would be to your benefit to get this rectified sooner than later. And the other people also that are part of this mess.
We're not seeing any cooperation
No.
right,
whatsoever.
right. And we're not looking to,
No, but I
get
mean-
in front of the arrow, so to speak. We're trying
And
to align and help.
If you're looking for, well, I'm just responding to,
Yeah.
you're saying, well, how do we collect? You don't unless you go right after
File a
them.
claim against.
And all you could do then is put a lien on the property, which, why not?
Right.
Put a lien on the property, go for a judgment, you'll get your judgment, and then you can record the judgment against the property. So at some point, if they ever do sell it, or if they hit the lottery, or if anything happens, your judgment's intact.
Right. But there isn't, so if all of us get together and make the repairs, it basically releases any things that you have against them. So they're
Yes.
now free and clear, right?
No, not against,
Against them?
Against
not
40.
against them.
No.
Just your properties would be clean and
Your property.
we wouldn't have, any issue there. But we would still hold this, we still want a notice of intent so nothing else happens in the future. It's still an open site that,
This is the
That's
40
right.
flagship we're talking about.
40.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Yeah, that's my
The
thought
only ones
process.
that can help 40 flagship are them, and they have shown us no.
You want to disassociate yourself as far away and as quickly as you can.
So about 40 flagship, if these good neighbors get together and get the resources, have a plan, execute a plan under an EO, clean up their site, is it just gonna get recontaminated from
No.
40
No,
flagship?
40 is stable.
No,
40
it's
flagship
stable.
is
we
stable.
can get it stable.
I wanted to ask the
It's
question. 'cause
stable,
I don't want him to spin his
No.
wheels and
No, I
spend.
know.
That's the reason why, last meeting or a couple of meetings ago, we wanted the signs posted on the property to make it real clear that, anybody that goes on the property is considered a trespasser. There's no activity, no access, no nothing. Because it's stable, we don't want anybody going in with a bulldozer and
Yep.
all of a sudden saying, oh, oops, I thought I was gonna fix it,
Yeah.
now it's not stable again.
It was pretty bad at one point.
Well-
It's good that it's fixed now.
It's stable right now.
Stable,
but-
it's not
but
fixed.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
it's not
fixed because there's no compliance of any kind.
Right.
So, but the stability and denying them access, stop work signs, that's huge.
Yeah. So that's subject to arrest if you,
Yeah.
if you do
Well,
any
that's
work on it.
that's what we like to think.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they'll get a
It looks
room.
like you've done as much as you could possibly do.
Well, we're trying. Amy's been talking with the planning board and the town planner to revoke their special permit, which is huge. Because once their special permit's revoked, now they have absolutely not even any reason to be on the property. Unless they're taking their Christmas
Well,
card
there's
pictures.
equipment there, so unless they've just abandoned that as well, at some point you think
So that
someone's gonna try to
equipment could
recover.
become fair game. That equipment could become fair game and could be removed and impounded.
Well, one of them was repossessed already.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, I mean, all these things are things that are possible.
Right.
And we have to go one step at a time to get to them.
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. Well, I think, we're here, so
If
we
you see
care, we're trying to
activity,
do something.
if you're driving down the road there and you see activity on that thing, you gotta call.
Yeah, please call.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
You gotta call because
Absolutely.
the damage that they can do in 15 minutes is unbelievable.
And you're gonna see the results.
Yeah.
Well, again, just wanted to introduce myself, say we're willing to try to help with the problem. If I can identify who the other parties are,
Mhm. Yep.
I'll you know, a good effort, try to reach out and see
Yep.
if there's some consolidation. We'd ask for any courtesies that you can give us. I know you're not gonna look the other way and things to make sure it's still done right, but, you know, we're having to tackle this and would like to try to get something resolved. Otherwise, it's just gonna sit empty like that, and I don't know that anything's gonna happen, you know, with him. And
Well, like I said, if we, at some point, if an enforcement order is issued and then you try to sell it, you won't be able to.
But
So that'll get your attention.
right, it's certainly, I don't know that it prevents it from being sold, but it's certainly,
Right,
it
it's
certainly
it's a
becomes
mark
a
on your
topic
title.
of
Someone could buy
conversation.
it, you know, at risk, but I think we'd be looking to work with you because you were not the violator.
Right.
You're looking to, you know,
With the victim.
Yes.
I would say that we agree. We all
Yeah.
agree on that.
And if all you're looking to do is clean up, I mean, that's a matter of months, I think.
You know, I think it's to do, I mean, frankly, whatever the minimum work we would need to do to remove, you know, the order. And I don't know how much damage was done or what effect it has. It's hard for us to have a visible, you know, look at it and go, wow, something has changed, but I'm sure
If you,
your surveys and things determine there were some problems that need to be corrected.
the first thing you do is get one of those names that we give you. If you can engage their services, they'll go out onto the site, and they'll give you an impact study.
Didn't Maureen go out there?
Maureen's been out there.
She's been out
With
there.
Norse, yes.
So she might be
She's
able to go
delineated
across.
She might be the one
wetlands.
you.
She's already been there.
She's a wetland scientist, she might be the one to help you, because she's already done it.
Okay? So, yeah,
So
just
talk to Amy,
appreciate
Amy will give you
anything.
the contact information,
Okay.
and that might save you a step.
Yeah, that's great. Appreciate anything you can do. We're gonna, you know, not just ignore it, tackle something, and hopefully I'll be able to report back to you at a future meeting what we've been able to accomplish. you
it
know?
sounds like, so it's probably not like a huge endeavor to
Yeah.
clean up. It's probably handwork. with-
Handwork, yeah.
It so-
Wheelbarrows and
Sounds
buckets.
minimal, yeah, sounds
Yeah.
minimal.
I mean, something like our landscaping company can do?
Yeah?
Under the
Yeah,
direction
under
of
the
wetland
direction of
science.
the
Yeah,
wetland
they have to
science.
be directed
Yeah.
by a
Yep.
pro,
Yep.
so they don't cut and pull the wrong plants.
But,
There's some plants we want in there.
yeah,
Well, like I said.
but it's usually shovels, rakes, and buckets
Yeah.
and wheelbarrows, not,
Not
Yeah.
excavators.
We don't want them
or-
taking out polywogs and stuff, you know.
Norse Environmental the wetland scientists will specify what they do,
Right.
what the landscaper needs to do. The landscaper takes that scope of work and they do it. And then you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
and it
like-
sounds like we probably will engage council at the same time
Yeah,
to work on our
Yep.
claim.
yeah.
Yep.
I would record time, effort, expenditures, everything to a T
Sure.
for that.
And if you want, throw in a little extra for us, because we spent hundreds of hours.
I watched a couple of the videos.
Oh, God.
Do us one favor, if nothing else. If you see something going on out there, call.
Yeah.
Anything at all stupid, call.
Got it.
Even if it looks like you're just having a picnic, we need to know.
Okay, we'll invite
All
you
right.
to the picnic.
All right.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Question, I think, I noticed we're at the end of the agenda, so I have a procedural question. Does election of officers need to be posted, or can I call for a vote for the election of officers now?
We, yeah.
Does it have to
no,
be election?
I thought it was July.
Was
It's usually July. It was going to be on the
It's
July
usually
agenda.
It's usually the first two meetings after the town meeting, which was in May.
Okay.
whole fiscal year goes from
Yeah, July.
1st
So
to June
July.
30th.
Yeah,
I
so
think
it's July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Is that all right?
that's fine.
Yeah, it
That's why
should
I'm
be on
asking.
the
Well,
agenda.
they wanted to do it ahead of time, because we only have that one meeting in somebody
July.
can't show.
I don't wanna be out of order. I just wanted to,
Yeah.
if it was doable, I'd do it. If not, we'll just wait till the next meeting.
We'll wait.
Done deal. Any other business?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
We stand adjourned.